Amigos y amigas, the Mexican Soccer Show is about to start. Get your tequila shots ready. Get your cerveza ready. Gather your family around. Watch it on TV. Let's go ahead and get started. Amigos y amigas, one more time. This is the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso, an hour-long podcast dedicated to Mexico and the World Cup. El Tri finally.
There's still the World Cup?
Well, Mexico during the World Cup, I guess, is what this show is all about. And now that it's out, thank you, Cesar. Maybe somebody missed the actual, the game.
We almost forgot.
Let's see what happened. Guys, thank you for joining us today. It was obviously not the greatest of days for us Mexico fans. We are out of the World Cup, and we'll do a little recap here in a minute, but want to make sure that you're tuning into the right show. This is the Mexican Soccer Show, as you see behind me. I'm back in the Mexican Soccer Show hosting studio, as you see, from Russia, now here in the States, and we couldn't not had a show tonight after what happened today early in the morning for all of you guys right here on this side of the world. But let's go ahead and just jump right in. Mexico out of the World Cup after a performance where we saw Mexico dominate in the first 30 minutes, and then Brazil's individualities, Brazil's obviously great team kind of took over, not hanging on after I think it was the 50th minute where Mexico, a couple mistakes in the defense, Brazil scoring with Neymar's sliding goal. And then towards the end, the 2-0, the 2-0, as many people try to point out. Mexico now out again, once again, in the round of 16, something that Mexico is definitely always following the same round of 16 exit. I think it's 7 now since 1994. And for many of you guys, of the fans, I've seen already in Twitter, what is it that we need to do to make the next jump? But let's go ahead and start and say hello to my guest tonight, Mr. Cesar Hernandez in the San Diego, Tijuana area, who is going to hopefully give us some hope today regarding Mexican national team. Cesar, how are you?
I mean, dude, maybe there is no hope until next week. I feel like I'm still... we'll wait for hope for later. I mean, for now, we'll just talk about all the negatives regarding all three, because I don't know, man. I think going into the match, I kind of anticipated a loss, but it's still pretty disappointing, even though I thought Mexico was going to lose the game 2-1. But yeah, maybe I will provide you guys with some hope. Let's see what happens.
Sorry. I think I was on mute. My bad, guys. Because
that was my computer's all right.
No. My bad. I was on mute. Well, hopefully we get some kind of hope there. So you're very, very positive, guys. So that's why we're all turning to you. Adriana Teresa in Mexico City. Adriana with a huge 24 hours with obviously the elections and obviously with everything that happened last night. We were talking earlier today. But now, obviously, Mexico out of the World Cup. Adriana, how's it going? What can you tell us?
It's been like a roller coaster the last 24 hours. I don't know if it's been like a fun roller coaster or just like a regular roller coaster where it's kind of scary and you want to cry sometimes. And well, we're all disappointed, I guess. We all thought that finally, after 7 World Cups, this was going to be it. It wasn't. And amazingly, I don't know if you guys feel this, but I'm not as hurt as I was 4 years ago when I was really optimistic and I was like, oh my God, we're actually going to do this. This time it was more like, okay, yeah, well, we saw that coming kind of. So we were kind of optimistic at first and then was like, yeah, we knew this could happen. So hopefully Cesar will bring us some optimism to the group or something.
Nope, just all negativity today, guys. All negativity. I mean, after that Sweden loss,
realism.
Yeah, there you go. After that Sweden loss, I just feel like I've been slowly kind of decreasing my excitement. I was the highest of highs after that win over Germany. And after I went over Germany, I was like, maybe the quinto partido is too little of a goal. We should be pushing for the semis. We got this. And then after the loss against Sweden, yeah, we'll probably lose to Brazil, and then it's just gonna be the 7th time in a row. So yeah, I guess like it's a lot. This one doesn't hurt nearly as much as the other ones. Like 2014 hurt a lot, 2002 hurt a lot. This one's kind of like
Meh.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of feels that same way. Talking to people, it's not as a 2014 loss, and I think that's where it come down to. But let's just kind of jump into the game. It was set up at the very, very beginning. When you saw and you woke up this morning, if you were, waking up early and waiting to see the lineup, obviously, big controversy with Rafa Marquez starting in the lineup. And I think everyone just kind of went like, what? There it is, Juan Carlos Osorio finding a way to surprise us all. Mexico in the first 30 minutes, I think, played great and took the ball to Brazil. Brazil almost had no answer. It kind of almost looked like the Germany game where a little bit of surprise Brazil of how intense Mexico was not letting them play. Osorio, I think, came out with a strategy of kind of gambling, I would say. Let's go out with great intensity and not let them, play their game. And hopefully they have some kind of mistake in the back that we're able to score. I think Osorio was trying to hopefully score for the first 30 minutes, then change and try to at least defend it. But the scoring never came, and there was no way Mexico could keep that intensity, especially with the heat in Samara and the way that the players have been playing. That's when Mexico started kind of falling back, started getting gassed out, and we saw Brazil, take advantage of that and kind of, do their game where slowly the individualities of Neymar and other players kind of just were better than Mexico, and they were able to score 1-0. After the 1-0, Mexico kind of regained a little bit more because of Brazil's, kind of almost, I was even surprised that they weren't attacking as much. Kind of got a boost, and Mexico looked a lot better. But then again, they're waiting for that counter and waiting for that mistake, which is a perfectly planned, Brazil and what they wanted to do with Mexico with the 2-0. And obviously, the story. Mexico loses out of the World Cup in the round of 16. And once again, many fans are questioning, is this a failure? Why can't we make that jump over to the elites after that round of 16? And we've seen other, let's say smaller countries make it, maybe not consistently, but we've seen other, countries make that and not us. So let's talk. I mean, obviously kind of give you a quick recap of the game. Mexico needed to play the perfect game in order to beat Brazil.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think more so than any other matchup in the round of 16, Mexico was the least favorite. I think I saw some odds where people thought it would be more likely for Japan to beat Belgium, which now in hindsight, they almost did. What we saw earlier today. Mm-hmm. So I think Mexico, I think it was like 5:30 at the game, like a 17% chance of Mexico going through. And you do have to give them credit. I mean, I think during the first 25 minutes, I thought Lozano did very well. I thought Carlos Vela did very well. I thought they were really bringing the game to Brazil's fullbacks. But then, but like you mentioned, they couldn't. I mean, and I knew that watching the game, they couldn't keep up with that kind of intensity and that kind of heat and that kind of pressure. It was only a matter of time before Brazil kind of got a little bit more possession. And then once they did, and once they got that early goal in the 51st minute, they just sat back. They frustrated El Tri. Neymar did Neymar things and wasted a lot of time. So yeah, I mean, it's a little frustrating, but Brazil, they're the worthy winners in the end. I think that they had, while we struggled with our opportunities at final third, they capitalized on theirs. Yeah. And I think that they were far better with their chances. And meanwhile, we were held to really, really poor efforts. And it really does make you frustrated about what happened during the first 25 minutes, that when Mexico should have really gotten a goal there. But yeah, I mean, once Brazil got the 88th minute goal from Firmino, that secured the win for them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Adriana,
I think we...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we were all surprised with Rafa Marquez being in the starting lineup. Yeah. I thought he could be a good player to end the game, but definitely not to start one. I was actually worried, saying how worried can Osorio be to put Rafa Marquez, who we know isn't in his top shape right now. We saw him with Atlas this season, and he's not. I don't think he was a player to start off with. I like the formation, but I thought maybe Jonathan would have a better chance, or maybe just doing whatever he did in the other games and having Herrera and Guardado as defensive midfielders somehow. But yeah, but somehow the first 25 minutes seemed pretty good. I saw Vela having a really good game. It was really frustrating for him not to finish off all the plays. Chucky Lozano also trying to get something done, but he was getting really frustrated as the game went on. I really don't like that Osorio waited so much to make some changes in the team, like not only in this game, but on the past games as well. I think he respects Chicharito way too much. I think he should have changed him a little earlier in the games. Maybe Raul Jimenez, maybe even Oribe Peralta. I particularly like Raul Jimenez a bit more. I think he's a lot faster attacking. But yeah, so I think it was kind of worrying to see Rafa there. I was like, how worried are you about what Brazil might do, that you have to put Rafa there, who we know is kind of limited physically? So that was kind of worrying, despite the 25 minutes, which were really good. And then it just seemed that Brazil just ceded the ball, and they were like, okay, we're going to let you guys do this 25 minutes, then we're going to take the show and just do everything we know what to do. So yeah, Memo Ochoa had a really good game against Brazil. There's only so much he can do. I thought the goals, it was Neymar being Neymar. So yeah, hopefully this will bring the changes that I think we need in the league as well. I think this is like a really good moment for the league, all the presidents, the club presidents, to see what they're doing wrong, because we're not going to see many of these players in the next World Cup. We have to start thinking of the next generation, and I just don't see them pushing through to be the next generation. So that's kind of worrisome.
I don't think those changes will be made, though. I think we all know the necessary changes that need to be made to really push El3 forward, but I think that's doubtful. And I do worry, like you said, about this next generation, because I think Mexico does have a lot of talent. I think they have a lot of potential, but I feel like for quite some time, we've always said that Mexico's always had a lot of potential. That, I mean, think about this current generation of players, like, ooh, there's so much potential. This is it. This is the generation. We're probably gonna be saying that about this next generation of players. We've got a lot of good young Mexicans right now, and you saw that with the 2 Alone tournament when they finished second place, when they ended up they had that best 11 in the tournament, and you had 4 players in there. You had someone like Diego Lainez, who up against like 21, like 20-year-olds, he's 17. He ended up being like the best player of the tournament. So obviously, there's a lot to be excited about. But will those players get minutes in Liga MX? Will those players not move to Europe because they're going to be paid high wages in Liga MX, and therefore they're going to stagnate and only stay in Mexico? Who will the next coach be? I mean, there's just so much potential, but what's it going to lead to? I'm just not entirely sure. I mean, there's just so many questions you have about the future of El3, but there is potential, but I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen.
I think it's what we question. You know, I feel like after every single World Cup, we just kind of go, okay, what are we going to do different in order for us not to do the same, you know, getting the same? But I want to kind of just talk about the you know, what we need, sorry. I want to talk about how we judge Mexico. And there's only one way to judge Mexico every 4 years, and that's the Quinto Partido. No matter what we do, right? Unless we beat, you know, with the Confederations Cup and we win the Confederations Cup. But we've won the Confederations Cup before, and it's not enough because it's not, you know, well, you know, they don't take it seriously most of the time.
Because it's in Mexico, that's why. I'll take it more seriously if that Confederations Cup.
No, but, you know, I'm just saying, okay, well, we had a Confederation, well, it was in Mexico. And even if we would have won last one, well, you know, it's like it's never going to be good enough unless we get to the Quinto Partido.
I don't know, dude. If we won the Confederations Cup, I think that would probably be Mexico's biggest achievement.
Okay,
I think
it depends, because if you have like Germany C, it's, you know, you have to take those things into consideration. You're like, it's not the real Germany,
and then that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, what makes you say Mexico's a good team for you? It's that Quinto Partido, right? That's the only measure that people have.
It's not a good measure, but it's the only measure that people really utilize, because it's clear that, I mean, obviously,
or care about. Yeah,
because if you look at Mexican soccer in the 90s, you look at Mexican soccer now, clearly there's significant improvements. There's a significant, like, there's so much.
But there's no way to say that there are, because
that's the issue.
Exactly. And that's what I'm getting at. And that's where I'm coming to the point that the only thing that we can say Mexico has improved on, regardless if we've won the Olympics, or our players have won some, you know, the Toulon tournaments, or our younger players are getting more exposure in, you know, in the international game by traveling a lot more, or, you know, winning you know, under 17 World Cups. It doesn't matter. Right. In order for people to say Mexico has done something, they have to get to that Quinto Partido. If we get trashed in that Quinto Partido in 7-0, doesn't matter. We did it. We finally got to that point. And that's where I'm getting at. You know, I feel like sometimes we are too harsh on the fact that that's the only thing that makes our soccer better, because it is extremely hard to get to that spot. And for us to say, yes, Mexico is not good at all unless we get to that spot, I think it's a little unfair. It's a great measurement. But again, I think we saw at the beginning of the World Cup, we needed to get out of the group, and then we were going to face Brazil. I mean, it was that way. And I know that many people are mad that we should have gotten against Sweden. And then maybe, and what I don't get is that you're already counting off Switzerland, right? Which I think would have been a really tough game in the way that Switzerland
It would have been
plays.
easier than Brazil.
No,
I think it would have been much
It would have been easier, but it still would have been a tough game, and not a sure, we would have made it to the Quinto Partido if we would have beaten, if we would have gone against Switzerland. And I get it. And that was my way of thinking too. But at the same time, look at Spain, look at Argentina, look at Portugal, look at how much Belgium today struggled to try to get to that extra, the Quinto Partido. And that's where I kind of go and I kind of come back and say, we don't have those players that are all playing Champions League. We don't have a coach that, has that much experience in Europe and coaching these type of players or do that. And I kind of just go back, and I put that on my tweet. We're not a top 10 football team, and expecting us to try to get there every single time is a great measurement, but let's get back to reality.
No. So you thought it was
the thing that makes it more. Sorry, Cesar, you go.
No, go ahead.
The reason I think it's so frustrating every time is that before, you weren't a U17 champion. You weren't a U17 champion twice. You weren't a U20 really good team to beat. You weren't Olympic champions. So when you start adding all these things up, you see growth in the league, you see all these players playing in Europe, and you see all this other tournaments that we're actually getting good at, but you don't see all that change grow into the Mexican senior national team. That's when it gets even more frustrating. You're saying we're doing all these other things that we didn't do before, and now we're doing them and we still see the same results. So what is it we're doing wrong? Because I see really good youth level tournaments, but something happens between the U23 and the senior level that they just don't they're not getting all those expectations met. So,
but there's only one measurement every 4 years for us to say that, and it has to be perfect. It has to go perfectly well for us to do that, and that's what I'm trying to get at. At what point? Because 2011 was the last time that we won with the 17
U17,
the U17, right? 2011. So automatically, it's gonna take a few cycles, right? It's not like 2014 we should have gotten it, and then now 2018. Then that's what I'm trying to get at. It's there's only every 4 years there's only one measurement, and it's got to go perfect for us to try to get there. Even the best teams in the world, couldn't do what we did, and we can at least made it past the round stages. And I'm not selling this short against I'm not saying that's why can't we hope for some more? I mean, the imaginamos cosas chingonas and all of that. I get that. But sometimes I come back and I just go, it's a lot for us to try to get to that moment. And I think if we look at a fracaso, and I saw a lot of people tweet at it, how upset they were, how it was a failure. I don't think that this team failed. I think they did a little bit more than what they're expected by beating Brazil, by beating Germany. And I know that doesn't get us anywhere in the map, but that was a huge, huge win. And I at least have a little positive in this World Cup that we were able to compete against an elite team and against elite players in the echelon of football in the World Cup. But again, we fell short against a Brazil team that is better than us in many aspects.
Yeah, I do. I think what we accomplished, it was just the minimum goal, which is why I think I'm going to ask people online on Twitter just what they thought. This is a good tournament, bad tournament, just kind of the same old. And what most agree is just the same old. I think it's a stretch to say it was a fracaso, because it wasn't a fracaso. It definitely was. I think making it out of the group stage, and that was a tough group too. I mean, despite the fact that we lost to Sweden, I think Mexico should be proud of themselves for what they did during the group stage. But then finishing in the round of 16 once again, regardless of the opponent, I mean, that's just it's disappointing. So once again, I think what Mexico accomplished during this World Cup was just the very minimum of what they needed to do.
True.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that.
And and I guess that's just my opinion, right? I mean, people expect this Mexico to get to the 16, and good for you. I mean, that's you expect them around a 16, be in top 10 with the players that you have, and to you, it's a fracaso if they didn't. That's your opinion, and my opinion is, I feel like Mexico did exactly what they needed to do, and we just can't, get to that hurdle unless we do something different. Unless, again, our players are playing in the best leagues, unless we have a Neymar. Right. Or if that's going to be, Chucky Lozano in the next 3 years, and finally 4 years from now, this guy scoring in La Liga or in the Premier League, like, Salah, like that's the type of player that we need in order to make it to the next round. Look at Lukaku, look at Cavani, look at Luis Suarez. These are the players, Mbappe. These are the players that are going to go forward in the World Cup, that are going to give you something different. We don't have those type of players yet.
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I am going to be positive. So even though earlier I said that there's a lot of questions up there about the future about the National League, but there is potential. I know, like we said earlier, that potential really led to nothing. It led to the round of 16 because I would be tempted to say that was a golden generation that Mexico just had. But once again, I was trying to look at all the young players that Mexico will be either in their early 20s or mid 20s, but it's a long, long list of players that Mexico has, whether it be in the Liga MX, whether it be involved with the Two Alone tournament, or even some of the players within the World Cup roster who are still in their early 20s. Salcedo is going to be at his peak. Tecatito is going to be at his peak. You're going to have someone, hopefully by that time, you'll see someone like Jesus Gallardo and Edson Alvarez with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more maturity. You see some players like João Malek, who's abroad. Irving Lozano is clearly killing it abroad, so he's going to be one of our best options 4 years from now.
And Ochoa will still be there.
Yeah, maybe. You never know about Memo Ochoa, but like Iri Antuna, like Omar Govet. There are a lot of.
I hope he's like a third goalkeeper. No, I just hope he's like a third goalkeeper. We have this idea like we're gonna make Rafa Marquez out of everybody, and we're just gonna keep them like for 4 or 5 World Cups.
No, you can have Ochoa in 4 years.
Yeah, except for goalkeepers. Yeah, you could have like you can have like 37.
I think all of it. Oliver Kahn was like almost 40, like in Germany.
Yeah, we had Conejo, so
in the way look at it, there is a little bit of hope, and that's that's kind of like our drawback, and like, all right, well, let's see what's coming up.
But then one of those players going to transition out, though. What if we have someone like an Herrera who still sticks around? What if we have someone like a Guardado who still sticks around? Because
if they're still better than I mean, you're I feel like everyone's like, okay, Herrera and Guardado and Chicharito and Vela and Giovanni and all those guys I think they're gonna start transitioning out, as you already saw Gio transition out. The minutes that he got.
I mean, we were supposed to have Rafa transition out like 4 years ago or something like that.
Like 2 World Cups ago.
Yeah, right.
But it's Rafa. I don't think anybody is gonna continue to do that. That's where we're at, and we're seeing that. Continue to talk about the whole tournament all around. I think before the World Cup started, we all were kind of saying Mexico, doesn't have what at least we don't see them. Hopefully they do, and then they had to have a perfect World Cup in order to quinto partido. But I think all three of us, right? We all said, yeah, Mexico is going to make it to the round of 16, and they have to have the perfect game. Hopefully they go through, but we just don't see them because we didn't see them beat Germany. We didn't see them come first from the group. Regardless of how it was just going to be really, really tough. And it became reality. I think people are underestimating the fact that we still had to beat Sweden, regardless if we beat Germany or not. And if we lost to Germany, we still needed to beat Sweden in order to be part of the group. Then again, Brazil, I was really, really hoping Brazil to get second in their group, and hopefully, with that last game in their group, and it didn't happen. So overall, I know we talked a little bit about. Go ahead, Adriana.
That's like karma, because we were all so actually doing what we thought we couldn't do, which was being first place in our group, and we're like, oh my God, we're being first place. And then we saw Brazil draw against Switzerland, and we were like, oh my God, they're going to be second, so we're going to face them anyway, despite us being first in our group, which we thought we couldn't do. So that was like, that was just, I don't know, like karma or something. Because we all thought that was going to happen, but then when we saw we actually beat Germany and Korea, we were like, oh my God, we're gonna miss them. And then they had the result against Switzerland, and they were like, oh my God, we're not going to miss them. Then it just switched around. It was just like, I don't know, kind of like meant to be, I guess, or somehow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I forgot if I talked about this at the beginning of the show before we started recording, but it's just so crazy to think that, like, after that Germany win, that I was like starting to like pitch ideas to like editors, like, no, the quinto partido, that's too modest. We got to push. We got to push further. We got to push for the semis and the final. Osorio is crazy for say that we could make it to final. We could do that. It was just crazy just to have that perspective in my mind after that Germany win.
But then we were all imagining, because if you saw all the brackets, it was like, oh my God, we have like the easy side of the World Cup because we have Switzerland, and then we go through. It's going to be, I think, Japan or something. So it was like, oh my God, we're on the safe side. And then it was like, oh my God, no, we got all like the really like the tough side. We have Uruguay and Brazil, and then we have France and I think Belgium. So and then it just kind of.
And then 10 minutes left into the last game, we're saying, oh my God, we're not even going to make it to the round of 16. And then
crazy. Praying to South Korea. That was awesome.
That was the World Cup. That's the World Cup for us. And I think every team has had some kind of crazy moment.
It's a weird World Cup. That's for
sure. And teams aren't making it. Great teams aren't making it out. Smaller teams are beating bigger teams, as you saw. I saw in the chat. It was the worst Germany that has ever been in a World Cup. Yeah, we didn't know that until Mexico beat them, and yet Sweden couldn't beat them, and then Korea beat them. It was weird. It was weird how we could have gone home with 6 points, and being at that game, and I got to tell you guys, being at that game was like an emotional roller coaster all around, because I felt like in the first half, and maybe because I guess I wasn't seeing it on TV. I'm like, I even tweet, I'm like, Sweden. What is Sweden doing? Like, they're just kind of holding back. It feels like they don't want to. They don't even want to. And then Mexico, I think, since they saw that, they were just like, all right, we'll play for the tie too, and we'll be first in the group. We won't exhaust ourselves. We have games coming up soon. It's like I felt like Mexico kind of went in and tried to do. And then obviously the first goal, the Moreno PK, which I still think it wasn't a PK.
What? That was 100% a PK.
I don't think he was going for the. I don't think he was going for the man. I don't think he was going for the man.
Yeah, he still got him though. I don't know if it did.
He touched the ball first. His little toe touched the ball first. Look at the replay. I was watching it. I watched it again.
What do people in the chat think? I guess it's
look at the replay. Look at the replay, and I think the ref compensated for a real PK that happened earlier. And now I'll do that anyway. That's my little
anyway. Sorry.
After 2-0, then 3-0, and there obviously we were there in the stands and looking at my phone and not caring about this game. It reminded me of another game where I was at, and it was the same thing. Like, it was Mexico Costa Rica there at the 2014 qualified, 2013 qualified.
Susie.
I was there, and I remember just going like, oh my gosh, it's over now. I gotta wait for a result, and it was crazy. Goal, and then they told us no, it wasn't a goal because of the VAR. Oh no, it was a goal. And then obviously all the beer and everything went flying. But just this roller coaster for us, we're great. Now we got Korea. Now we got first place. Okay, now we don't. Now we're not in the World Cup. Okay, now we keep going. And now we have Brazil. Okay, we can beat Brazil because of their style. Let's do it. And then here we go. 30 minutes starting great. I think I looked at the clock today at 30 minutes. I'm like, the goal's coming. Like, this is the time to score. If we don't score now, it's over. And then slowly Brazil started taking over. I do got to say, somebody mentioned it. It was that, when Rafa has been in the game, like, nothing horrible has happened.
Other than his bad passes. Oh, my God. He had some bad passes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I said. It's like, hey, Rafa's good. I'm like, well, he's going to be bad defense, but, hopefully he can bring us something towards offense. And I think right at the beginning we saw, it's Osorio is going to go with that decision back to his little Libreta and figure out if that was a mistake or not.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about Osorio here,
let's do it.
Like I say many, many times, I feel like I have to say, because everyone's always against Osorio. I tend to support Osorio. I tend to like what he does. But I think that Rafa decision just once again just really highlighted how he should have brought a true defensive midfielder to the tournament. I don't know why. Whether it be a Molina, whether it be a Zavala, whether it be Zavala, what am I spelling?
Gallito. Gallito.
Gallito. What did I say? Zavala. That was weird. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You know what? Better Zavala than Rafa, to be honest. But that just I just highlighted how he really truly needs to bring one, and he could have afforded to bring one of those guys. I mean, Eric Gutierrez didn't get any minutes. Aquino didn't get any minutes. That could have been a defensive midfielder right there.
We didn't lose the World Cup because Rafa was in our squad. We didn't make it to the quinto partido.
But then he ended up wasting. I thought his subs were smart, but he didn't have to make those subs if Rafa wasn't starting, because then he had to already waste one of those subs. by bringing in was it for Layun for
Edson.
Rafa, and then after that he had to bring in Jonah for Edson. So he ended up wasting about 2 subs right there. The only like true attacking sub that kind of like made a bigger
Rafa
difference.
Didn't Rafa do well against Germany?
Kinda.
But,
I mean,
but as a sub, it's different as a sub. You're trying like to protect the advantage. It's different. You're controlling the game, and here you have to like attack first. It was like 25 really intense minutes, and I don't think Rafa's up to that. There's actually a picture. I think it's one of the agencies, Getty or something. It just showed what Rafa's game was like because he's trying to chase Casemiro, and his head is down. He's like looking at his feet, saying, "Oh my God, I can't catch him." And Casemiro's like looking ahead, looking at where he's going to pass the ball. And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, that was Rafa's game. He started off really well, but you can't expect him to be like that 45 minutes."
And I think that's why JCO was just kind of banking on let me throw out everything I can. Let's have somebody control the midfield and be out there as a leader and hopefully we score during that time. Sub Rafa in, put Layun in, and I think that was his game plan. And if we just needed to score and it didn't happen. I can't believe Velas didn't like one of those goals against Sweden or against against Brazil didn't go in. Like I feel like that was it. It would have changed so much if one of those Velas scored against Sweden or against Brazil, but it didn't.
I was expecting like an MLS type of Carlos Vela goal. I was like, he's going to score right now, like a really good long shot goal.
I was waiting for that.
Everybody was waiting for that, and he did try it. And I mean, I think when he was on the left,
he did.
When he was on the left side, he couldn't do it with his right foot. But then when they switch, I'm like, Vela, this is it. We need your MLS goal. Curve it like Vela type of goal, and that would have changed. Yeah. I think he tried it against Sweden. He almost scored against Sweden. Or and then against Brazil we're just or against that, and I felt like Chucky too. It's like Chucky, just make that cut, take or 2 players and score like you've done it before, and it just didn't happen.
In general, though, Mexico's finishing was very poor in this tournament, and I'm including that Germany game where once again we've talked about beforehand where, I mean, despite the fact that Mexico won 1-0, they should have won that game 3 or 4-0. They really, really, truly should have.
Yeah.
And I think they wasted some opportunities against South Korea. They didn't look at their best in the attack against Sweden. And then today, in the first 25, 30 minutes, if their finishing would have been just slightly better, Mexico could have had an early goal. I don't know what was happening there with the attack, but it was just so bad in the final third.
I think that's one of the things that we were talking about that's frustrating. We've seen this happen time and time again. That last pass, it's just something that I don't know if they don't work on it enough. If it's the players, if it's the positions or something, it's just something, it's like our Achilles heel. We know we're terrible at that because we create lots of opportunities. You have players like Vela, like Chucky, and sometimes even Chicharito. But that last pass is just something that we can't complete with in like these games.
Yeah, no, agreed. And it was really, really disappointing to see, but yeah, I mean, once again, I think that was just an underlying problem that existed during the whole tournament, like the entirety of the tournament. Just Mexico's really, really poor finishing.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to there's what Mexican forwards are coming out, true forwards that, can score. And I know the game is changing, that true forward is kind of a very, very hybrid type of player now. But in Mexico in the Liga MX, who do we have out there that's Mexican that's scoring a lot of goals?
Yeah, and that's another issue. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that I think it's also a tendency in international soccer as well. This creative midfielder position is really rare. Like Vela sort of takes that position sometimes. Maybe Marco Fabian could have done it as well, but we don't have that position. And Liga MX, that's what another of the things that we have to take care about. We don't have those sort of players. I don't worry that much about goalkeepers, maybe even defense, maybe some midfield. But the offense, you don't really see lots of Mexican players saying, yeah, they're scoring goals with their teams. Yeah, they're top goal scorers in the Liga MX. We just don't see them. So it's really rare, and that's kind of worrisome.
Mm-hmm. And look, I mean, our top goal scorer is Chucky Lozano. And if we have to say that from this team, obviously Vela and what he did in MLS, but again, Vela doing that in MLS, just like somebody put it out in the chat, look at the space that he gets. Of course, he's going to score those golazos, or it's a lot of an easier type of league. But there's no surprise that, who's our next Mexican player in Liga MX? Oribe Peralta, and what's next after that?
Well, that's the issue, is that I think even though we have a lot of potential, it's in every position except a striker. To an extent, a goalkeeper. I think you do have someone like who you do have some other younger options, but strikers, you're just like
midfield. Yeah, wingers. Yeah, strikers we have.
Yeah, strikers a little worse.
No,
I do think we have a little bit more wingers, but yeah, no, strikers is just. I mean, what? Who? If we do have someone, it'd be like De La Rosa from Pachuca, but he's what, like 18? He's gonna be like 22 in the next one. Like I don't know. It's just really like Marco Bueno. He's not really done anything. Like who? I mean, Oribe just retired from the national team. It's got to be. You were just Mexico fans are just gonna really have to hope that Raul Jimenez has an excellent season over with Wolves and that he continues to thrive until his early 30s. Because I think that's what we're gonna have to rely on. We're really gonna have to rely on Raul Jimenez and just hope some other young talent's gonna come up. Because I don't know who else is Cubo Torres. What I completely forgot he was involved with Pumas. Apparently now he's with Tijuana now. I don't know where else to go here.
Like lost. Carlos Fierro, like Marco Bueno, all that 2011 U17 champions, they're kind of lost, and that's kind of the Liga MX's fault as well. They don't take care of those players. I remember Carlos Fierro coming in as a champion, and she was like, okay, we're just gonna make him make his Liga MX debut. I was like, oh my god, he's 17 years old. You're talking about all this pressure just because you won the U17 championship. It's happened before. Don't do it again. It happened with Cubo. It happened with Fierro. So you have to take care of these players, and it's something that Liga MX teams don't do as well. I like what America is doing with Lainez because they don't even let them talk to the press, and I think that's really smart of them. But still, it's not that many players that you have like those conditions.
Yeah. Someone did bring up Eduardo Aguirre, Lalo Aguirre, from the Two Alone tournament. That is someone to keep an eye on. But, I mean, once again, I mean, you would prefer to have a striker who's doing something like, let's say, like a Chucky. Let's say, like almost to an extent like an Edson Alvarez that are already either doing well in Liga MX or they're just made a move abroad. Yeah, there's some young guys, but they still have so much to prove. From all the striker guys that we could potentially have out there, they just have an immense amount to prove before they even make their debut for the national team.
Well, I think that's where we're all hoping for, for Raul to have a great season, and like you said, and Chucky Lozano. I still see, I know that that generation that won in 2005, the Vela and Moreno and all that, I still see some of those guys lingering around, just like Oribe Peralta lingered around, to this World Cup. And we'll see how that takes us at least. But yeah, it's an exciting time. The transition, I think, if I look at kind of the future, and just like you said, Cesar, we have the potential. It's now. Let's start making the changes now.
And we have Piojo, right? That's what everyone wants, right? Everyone wants Piojo.
Let's talk about that.
That's a step forward right there.
Let's talk about JCO and obviously in what's about to happen. You guys said it. It's like he's about to leave. I was kind of on the fence in him leaving. I said if he gets us to the Quinto Partido, I don't think he would leave. But now that I'm starting to see already a little bit of signs that he's probably gone, and that's coming from the players today. Jonah liking that tweet from the random person. I don't even know who that was. Right after I looked that
dude up. I was like, who follows this dude?
I'm like, you're gonna retweet or like someone in English talking about El Tri, and it wasn't anybody that El Tri Eng family.
Are we just jealous that it wasn't one of us?
Probably.
Dang.
Like if Cesar was can you imagine if he retweeted like you, Cesar, you're like, oh, what's up with Rafa starting? This is horrible, JCO, and then Jonah likes it.
Probably like a dumb tweet, like I lost my cat, and then Jonah like retweets it. It's like, oh, dude. Why did he retweet me talking about my cat, man? Oh.
It was in English too. Like I'm starting to see that, if Jonah did that and then he unliked it, the whole world saw it because everybody made a big deal about it, because it is a big deal. Someone in your team likes something on Twitter that says, why is Rafa going to the World Cup? And it's the same, position that you were supposed to play in. So I'm already starting to see, at least. And it's not surprising it comes from the Dos Santos family. But that, and it's like now more of the players I'm sure are going to either come out either to defend him. I think Layun came out and said, he should continue to coach. I think there's a group of the national team that are heavy JCO fans that are, let's keep going. But I just, I think JCO, I think he's going to be like, I'm not doing this again. There's
I don't.
Go ahead.
Well, it's a tough job. We actually joke around about this, saying that the Mexican national team coach is pressured even more than the Mexican president sometimes. It's like the tougher job. Yeah, we kind of joke about it, but it's kind of true. You see them come in and they're all optimistic and they're trying to do different things. And then once they have to go to the press and they get all this pressure and they got all this criticism, it's not an easy job anywhere. I think it's actually tougher than I don't know, the Colombian national team maybe. We all thought that Osorio might just go there because after Peckerman or something. But I actually think that the point is that if they want to choose a new coach, which I probably think they will do, because I think Osorio was kind of saying goodbye today, they should just do the same thing. If they gave Osorio 3 years, just give the next coach 4 years. And I'm guessing it's going to be Almeida, because I can't actually think of someone that would want the job right now.
That's where it comes down.
Yeah.
There is nobody out there. There's a reason why we got Osorio, and I complain when we got Osorio. I was like, why is this guy coaching the national team? And obviously I gave him a chance, and everything that happened, but there isn't anyone out there that is ready, one, or that has the caliber to coach it, or that wants to coach it.
Or if they do have the caliber, like, I'm not going to L3 that season, no way. I mean, no.
And I think that's where I go back. Let's, and JC doesn't want it, but let's say if he did, I think the FMF would want to keep Osorio, for to keep that same mentality, and we saw what he can do with the players. Hopefully, he'll learn from this, and then he'll continue to build what he want to do. I think he wants that Bielsa title too, of what he did with Chile, from the very beginning, and from the youth all the way to the top. I wouldn't mind on a personal level. And I can see guys, I know you guys rip us that we're like JCO lovers. And I can see why you guys wouldn't want him. It's the 7-0, the 4-1. I get it. But
that's right. Turn down that 4-1, right?
The 1-0. But there isn't anyone out there. And I'm not a believer that Almeida should take it just because he won one title, and then how all the players loved him in Chivas. We need someone more that has the experience to coach against elite coaches. And Almeida has had how many teams? 3?
Almeida's clearly had a very, I think if we're talking about, once again, the next generation of players, then you would want someone like a Diego Alonso, or you'd want someone like an Almeida, who they clearly have a strong connection to those young Mexican players. And I think Almeida is part of that process. And I think that if Almeida was to get the job, I would be pretty happy about it. I mean, I think I am a fan of what a lot of the stuff that Osorio has done. Osorio is far from perfect. That's entirely true. But I think Almeida could thrive with the Mexican national team, just because what you saw him do in such a short amount of time with Chivas, with the titles that he won. And like I said, I think a big part of this next process is incorporating new and young talent. And Almeida has clearly done a good job of that with the trust that he built from that Chivas squad. So I would be happy with Almeida. I mean, obviously you could wish to be like, oh, I want like a Luis Enrique. I want some like a top level manager, but they're probably going to turn Mexico down. I think realistically speaking, it's an Almeida and Alonso, and Alonso's not available. So it's got to be Almeida, unless if you believe all those weird rumors that he apparently accepted a job in the Middle East. I don't know. There's like no truth to any of that. I saw that making the rounds or something like that. I know La Volpe did that. That was a little weird. I think we all saw that recently. But yeah, no, I think unless if you believe those rumors, like Almeida's still up for grabs.
I think everybody's thinking that that's the next, because obviously he won, and the way the players. I would still hope for more, and I know there isn't anyone that's where I'm just kind of like, let's just keep JCO. I mean, if it's between JCO and Almeida, let Almeida have more experience, go out and win with another team, and then hopefully he comes back and then he can coach the national team, or wins another Liga MX title with another team. Get a little more coaching involved in that. And I think that's, if somebody tells me, what is stopping Mexico from being that elite team, it's the coaching too. I know it's our players going abroad, but it's that coaching experience of why we lost in 2014 was because Piojo didn't know how to manage that last, 10, 15 minutes games. And then, with our players playing in Europe, we need the top quality in the coaching also. And we just don't have that either. For me, I hope that JCO stays. I don't think it's happening. Keep going with that. And then something that I just kind of look forward, because I'm like, all right, what can we do next in the next 4 years? No Copa America anymore, right? So there's that too. That at least we were hoping, we're like, all right, next year we can at least make an impact in the Copa America and try to get to the semifinals again. But that's gone. We go back and we think about
got the Gold Cup though.
We go back and you think of the Gold Cup, and we're just like,
here we go.
Great.
Oh my God, we're playing Bahamas.
Dude, I'm so stoked for Mexico versus Martinique. I don't know about you dudes, but we'll I'm definitely gonna be going over to Denver for
Well, and it just kind of goes, what's next in the next 4 years? Dang it. And I think I had the same feeling after the Brazil loss. I mean, after 4 years ago in Brazil. But somehow this team, and the passion that you have for El Tri, and seeing the players out there representing your country, hopefully we'll get that back. And it's somebody was saying at the very beginning, right? This isn't, and you guys said it also. This doesn't hurt as much as it did. If we have to rank, World Cup losses and as far as devastation and everyone freaking out about it, this is kind of on the low end. I mean, you got 2002, you got 90.
It just sucks. You have to wait 4 years again. True. It's like, oh my god, dude! Like another 4 years. Ugh.
In fact, this is probably the lowest of like the pain World Cup losses ever since I can remember. 86, we were out in penalty kicks. Obviously, I was very, 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 very little. 1994, it was penalty kicks again. Like that was me as a little kid just crying my eyes out. 1998, 1998, it was Germany, right? Which was, oh my gosh, like we are actually beating Germany. Is that right?
And then Jurgen Klinsmann, we were beating Germany. Then Jurgen Klinsmann scored the equal
scores, and it's like, and that's where the Yamerito, we it's like we can never make it extra. And then 2002, the worst loss, against the U.S. out of the World Cup. It's like it was horrendous. Then 2006, we have an amazing game against Argentina. Rafa scores. We can do this. And then the Maxi Golazo comes out, and it was just, And 2010, I was more mad than anything because of that, because of Osorio's huge mistakes. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Carlos Osorio.
No. Osorio's huge mistake, and then also, the offsides goal, which was a huge offside goal.
We still played pretty poorly in that 2000, like the second Argentina game. We played like the first like matchup against Argentina. Like we were doing a lot better.
Awesome.
2010. I know there was like that offside decision. It was clearly offside, but we were.
But that totally killed us though. That first goal, totally killed us. I mean, it was an offside goal, and then Osorio wasn't in the game with Messi. Gave him another goal, and I think Tevez scored that golazo, but then Chicharito also scored, and that was just more of an angry. Great team beat us. But I can't. Again, we were somehow stiff. The fact that it was. I think it's still one of the worst mistakes in the World Cup history, like top 10 when you look at like ref mistakes, and that's when they're looking up and saying, "Look at the replay."
Yeah, look at the screen. Look at the screen.
The screen. Look how far off, and the ref could not look at the screen. And then 2014, obviously the no era penal, being there in the 88th minute, saying we got this, we beat Holland. And then boom, Huntelaar, and then obviously what happened. So I look at this, and I mean, no one's aside from that guy at the stadium that was bawling his eyes out, which I'm like, is there? I mean, I kind of get it, right? You're angry, but was there really somebody just crying? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't that way because it really took a lot for us to beat Brazil, and maybe that's why I was so horrendously sad. In that first goal, I said, it was coming. That goal was coming. Yeah. It wasn't like a huge surprise. And I think that's where I go. I don't want to rank losses because Japan lost today in a horrible, horrible way.
Yeah.
But
that was worse, actually.
Can you imagine us being up 2-0 to Brazil and then losing 3-2?
Losing in 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes, 3-2. Like, there it is again. Like, we could, I mean, I don't want to, I don't know. I just, at least for my heart, I'm not saying that I'd rather take this loss than the other because they're both losses. But, and at this flip side, I'm sure Japanese fans we did everything we could, but that was a huge, failure. The fact that you're up 2-0 and in 5 minutes they scored 3 goals. And that's just how that, I guess this World Cup has been. But ranking failures, this isn't as bad. And I don't know what you guys think.
Extended to reach that quinto, but we extended to 8 tournaments in 2022 when we lose the Qatari national team. Like in penalties or something, like the round of 16 in 2022. Can't wait until that happens.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think since there's more teams, we actually might make it to the quinto partido because I'm guessing there's another round. I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah.
I know it's a group stage with 3 teams, so we're actually gonna make that quinto partido mentally. We just might make it afterwards, but I can't make my way to that 2026 tournament yet because I just think we're going to have lots of really poor teams there. So hopefully we'll just do well in Qatar before we actually have to think about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Qatar. So another 4.5 more years since I think the Qatar tournament is going to be in December, right? I mean, that's what everybody's pointing to. So it's not only 4 years; it's 4.5.
So what are they going to do with the Club World Cup?
They exchange. They send it to
like the summer.
to the summer.
Also, everyone in the chat is saying, yeah, that's true. That the 48 teams is until 2026.
Yeah, the 48 teams. Yeah. Hey, and how's qualifying gonna go? We're already in, man. That 4 years between Qatar and 2026, I think it's just gonna be boring. No Copa America, Copa. At least I know we all hate on Copa Oro, but at least we go back and be like, hey, let's beat the U.S. Let's beat the best of everybody. But that really doesn't matter because we're gonna be in the qualifying, and at least qualifying, we're already gonna be in. So how does that work? Like Canada, U.S., and Mexico don't need to do qualifiers. It's just gonna be like Caribbean and Central American teams that are trying to get in the other 3 spots or whatever it is.
It's going to be like the easiest qualifier ever, and we're still not going to have to do anything because we're hosts, so we're not going to have to play.
You know what? Russia, everyone
thought, really crazy.
Everyone thought they would struggle. They weren't doing any qualification. Now look where Russia's at. Maybe that'll be the same with us. Probably not.
Everybody, we should all root for Russia. Forget every other
or
team.
Not.
I'm just rooting for badness. I just want more craziness to happen. I want Uruguay to beat France. I want Belgium to beat Brazil. I want Russia to beat Croatia. Yeah.
No, the other way around.
No, I want Russia. I want Russia to be Croatia. I want Russia to go as far as possible.
No, I want Croatia. They have
No. You remember what Croatia said?
Most awesome midfield ever.
Yeah, and that midfield talked a lot of crap about Mexico 4 years ago. That's why I don't like Croatia anymore.
Oh, tough. Yeah, and not even the same coach. You just let him be.
it was Luka. It was Modric who said it. He said, "Oh, I played against plenty of great goalkeepers. Memo is in one of them. Bam, 3-1."
Bringing it back to Anthony. So people in the chat are talking about partidos boleros. I think people are also people stop buying tickets boleros in the U.S.
Yes, because before the moleros we were winning World Cups. This goes down to it. I mean that's why we're not in the World Cup.
That is not the reason that Mexico isn't doing well.
It is a really strong reason.
I don't believe it.
It is though. It is a factor. It is a factor. It is a fact. It's like it's like it's not. A lot of people will be like, oh, it's like MLS is ruining the Mexican national. It's like it's not the reason why. But it does.
It's not as bad as the Moletour.
If we didn't play in the U.S., we'd be playing all those games in Mexico, right?
No. You wouldn't have to go to Mexico. You could play
anywhere else.
And you really think there's that many countries that play abroad like Mexico? I'm not talking Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, all these great countries that want to that want to go. And that's where I go down to, and I get it, right? Playing better teams in better opposition is going to help us, but it's not as easy as people make it sound. If we didn't have the Moletour, like you guys said, it's not like Spain go, yeah, guys, Mexico, come play in Spain. And
but you have a chance at least because the only reason they go to the States is because they have this contract with Zoom where they have to play a certain number of teams per year. Sometimes those dates aren't even FIFA dates, so you have to play whatever team is available just because you have a contract that says you have to go there. So if that contract had, maybe it has to exist somehow because you need the money and whatever. But maybe if you had some flexibility with that contract where you could actually go to play to South America, you could actually go to Europe occasionally. I know they'll do it. They have the money. It benefits everyone to actually do that. The people would believe more in a team that actually fights against, I don't know, France, Iceland, Denmark, playing in Europe, not against, Iceland C in the United States. I think that would actually benefit the team a lot more with a lot more credibility. People would actually be like, hey, we're actually preparing well for the next World Cup or the next Gold Cup or whatever it is we have to play.
Before the Moletours, like you guys call it, were we playing in Iceland and South America and in Brazil?
I think that's irrelevant. Whatever happened beforehand, you're just looking towards the future of the national team, and I do agree. You don't get rid of it entirely because you do understand that you need to fund the national team there. It's a lot of money that's coming through there, but at the same time,
I'm not saying
you can't get rid of it.
Maybe don't have 5 games in the U.S. Maybe you can have 1 or 2. Like move 1 to South America, have 1 in Europe, have 1
didn't we have those during the Moletour tour? Didn't we play Belgium in Belgium? Didn't we play the other teams?
But
that was because the World Cup was coming along.
Yeah,
you don't play them regularly,
and that just stacks the schedule too. That just still stacks the schedule, though. That's just.
Still, it's
It's not gonna. That's what I get it. I get that and I'm not saying that the Molitor is helping Mexico. That's not what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But to go into, and that's main reason, I don't believe that there's any difference. And looking at the schedule, and I look at before the Molitor came through, we weren't playing outside so much like you guys think that we would be playing, and there isn't that many teams that do that. Aside
if it's
from
something that helps, you should do it. If it's something that helps, you should do it, no matter what the results were before. You know it helps.
But that's wishful thinking, and I don't believe.
But I want to wishful think.
I'm going back to reality. There isn't a team like Mexico. I'm not. You take Brazil and you take Argentina and all the teams, all the high quality teams that everybody wants to play in. Give us. We are the. I don't know. Now that Belgium and Portugal have gone in, you know, we are. I don't know if we could. What would be another team that we can comparison?
But you're undervaluing the experience of
Colombia.
playing. Undervaluing the experience of. I mean, I think there's a reason why Mexico struggles outside of the CONCACAF region. I think there's a very, very strong reason. It's because
we play home games all year long. We don't know what to play. Yeah.
There's a reason why the only Confederations Cup title we have was the one in Mexico. There's a reason
I get that there is. I get that there's obviously the reason as to why is a positive. I'm just going back to the logic of it that it's not that logical and not that logical. It's not that doable to play that many games outside of your region. It really isn't.
Well, then you have to like add things up. Okay, let's imagine you can't take away the SUM contract because that brings in money and that allows you to do all these other things. So let's imagine you get some games in Europe or South America or wherever you want to play. But let's imagine that. And then you have a coach that, maybe it's not the best solution, but it's probably the best solution out of whatever possibility, which is Almeida. And then you ask the league to say, hey, you guys, you're actually getting too many foreign players. We actually need you guys to produce national players. We need strikers. We need another goalkeepers. If you start adding all those things up, it has to bring a better solution.
Okay.
They haven't done that. That's why we have 7 World Cups, or we haven't been able to make it through to the best to the quarterfinals. So, but if you start adding all these things up, it has to bring a better solution because you're not doing it right now.
True. No, and I agree with you. I agree with you that we need all these little things in order for us to be that elite power, right? To make it to that next jump. And I get that. I get that. But I go back to, I think people just go, this is what we want, and it's really hard to get there. It's really, 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 really hard to schedule games outside on a regular basis.
Just because it's difficult, just because it doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to achieve that. We can't just assume that.
No, true. No, I get it. No, it's true. Yeah, we should do that, but it's not like this is the solution, and we have that because we've seen that before, and it's not like it gave us anything any different. So I don't have the solution, the magical solution for us for Mexico to be what we need them to be. And Adriana, you have a perfect, at least there's 5 different things that we need to do in order for us to try to get there.
Yeah, at least.
All I know is that I should have brought up the Partidos Moleros like 30 minutes into the show as opposed to like right. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who brought it up.
People are saying let's leave CONCACAF. Let's go to the Commonwealth.
We know that's not happening. We just know that's not happening. But it's kind of the same point. We know that they won't. It's not the level of competition we need. We need something that it's a little riskier. It's something that we won't win as easily. It's something that we're not used to. It's not going to, I don't know, Martinica or St. Vincent or whatever. And
we don't even play them that often.
No,
but it's what we have.
Yeah.
But it's what we are. That's that's not like we can go and play,
and that's okay. We're not gonna switch confederations. It's never gonna happen unless it's like wishful thinking, as we were saying. But if you have that, you're out of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And miss the World Cup.
But the thing is, like that would
actually do that.
That would strengthen L3.
It would.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, right? Obviously, the better competition that we have, the better that we're going to be. Truly, I completely agree.
That'd be so weird if we're in like CONMEBOL. Just like think of like.
I think we would make it. I think people make like, oh, you would make it if you're out there. I think we would. In past Copa Americas against Copa America teams, I think. Obviously, when we're there and we do well. Well, we do well. I think we would make it if it's 5.
We made the final. We made the final. There we go.
Yeah. I think that would actually force like club presidents and players to do everything that they've been struggling to do so far. One of the things, it's terrible to think this way, but if we hadn't made the 2014 World Cup, I can't imagine all the changes on the entire like revolution that the Mexican Federation would have had, because it means money to them, and that's like the bottom line. But we don't really have to do that to actually make those changes, so they should do it.
I agree. I 100% agree. There is a part of me that like it recognizing that maybe it would have been beneficial for just and just the Mexican soccer as a whole that if they didn't qualify for the 2014 World Cup, everyone to get together and just realize like, okay, why did we fail, and what can we do to really rebuild it? They kind of do what Germany did. What was a while
I was thinking about Germany.
Yeah, about Germany. What they did, they just kind of like rebuilt the whole. I mean, I know they lost in the group stage; they finished in last place of the group, but you still see it wouldn't be that surprising if they were to like bounce back like immediately. So, yeah, that would have been.
Germany didn't miss the World Cup though.
But yeah, it's true. That's true. They didn't miss. That's true.
Let's do it. Wow,
they didn't need to. Yeah.
Let's do it without missing the World Cup. I mean, again, we're going back to
that would be the ideal. But the thing is. That's when the bottom line comes in. When there's money involved, that's when like the most drastic decisions are made. So hopefully you don't have to miss the World Cup to actually get to those.
We missed the World Cup in 1990. I remember that the worst summer.
But
of
not
my
because
life.
of a sports.
It's true.
It was
I'm not okay with missing the World Cup. I hope let's make all these changes now.
That's what we want.
Let's send out some emails, guys.
It's been 7 World Cups, so.
Yeah. So do you guys want to miss the next World Cup so we can get ready for the 2032? Is that which World Cup do you guys want to miss? You look back at past. You wanted to miss the 24. It's easy to say we should have missed 2010. That was a crappy one anyway.
I remember seeing the game against Costa Rica, and for those 15 minutes where we were actually out of the World Cup, I remember thinking maybe this is what we need. It's so sad to think about that because that's the way sometimes Mexican soccer works. Sometimes when the team gets relegated, that's when they make changes. When the team is actually doing poorly, that's when they do change. They don't do it while there's still a chance to improve. They do it when everything's like they don't have any other opportunity. But hopefully they won't reach that point where they're like, oh, we should have done this a while ago. We should have put that 2011 like youth the youth rule before in the Liga MX. We should have actually started preparing national team players. You can do it before. You just don't need to like reach that point where like, oh no, we missed the World Cup. Whoa, we did something wrong.
Yeah. Well said, Adriana. Well said. You're basically. I want to talk more, but you've just been like saying exactly what I've been wanting to say for like the last 10 minutes. So
this is why just passionate, cares about the team, guys. Great discussion. We're going a little bit over of obviously we can fix the Mexican football right here. Between all three of us, we don't even need Tom Marshall.
Who's that? Who's that guy?
We see that. Guys, thanks a lot for joining on today. Many of you in the chat. Once again, it hurts to say that Mexico's out of the World Cup in the round of 16. And hopefully, we'll continue to give you as much as we can in coverage wise. El Tri Eng and the family that are here. Many people jumped on board with El Tri, and I'm sure they're going to leave. We're still here. So at least we'll continue to give you that. I want to thank everybody on the chat that came and joined us. And I wish we could have gone today and we could have been screaming for an hour and say Mexico is, beat a historic win, an epic win against Brazil. It's kind of sucks, right? Knowing that we're out once again in the same place. Don't want to diminish the loss in any way, but I guess we talked a little bit about how it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be. We're not crying like we did 4 years ago, but hopefully, I don't know, maybe the FMF listens to the Mexican Soccer Show. We already gave them what we need to do. Adriana can just write a great column and say, you want to be better, this is what we need to do. Number 1. Number 2, number 3.
This is hashtag wishful thinking, hashtag imaginemos cosas chingonas. That's it. It's all comprised into this last hour.
The imaginémonos cosas chingonas wasn't let's get to the to the fifth. It was let's do the right thing to get there. Right?
Let's listen to the Mexican Soccer Show. These guys know what they're talking about.
These guys what they're talking about. Good. Again, thanks everybody. Continue to share, and write to us and tweet at us and argue with us in the way that we think. We'll see what's going to happen. I think in the next few days, JCO, I'm sure is going to come out and say he's going to the MLS. I don't know. Or he's not going to be with the team, or maybe he'll surprise us. And he's like, and I think there's a little bit of a chance. I feel like all the players are like, hey, just stick with us. That same group that really wants him. I feel like that
could happen.
I feel like that's maybe, and it's like, hey, you didn't do horrible. You have this mentality. You want to change it. We saw what you can do, and let's keep working in the way that again, Bielsa worked, the way that Sampaoli took over, and you're still seeing that from the Chile team. That look at what happened, even though they didn't make it to the World Cup afterwards. But hopefully, that's what I would like. Just continuing, a program from a coach that knows the players now, can bring those young players in, like, you know, like he brought Chucky Lozano in, and we're seeing transitioning those other players, hopefully not like Rafa, but that's what I would like, and we'll see what happens. Otherwise, who knows? Who knows? It's anything can happen with Mexico, right?
Everything indeed can and probably will.
It probably will. All right, guys. Adriana, thank you so much for your hope and obviously the list of many things that Mexico needs to do. I'll let you close the show for today to hopefully instill us a little bit more hope in the next 4 years. Because Cesar didn't do a good job like I thought he would.
That was terrible.
Just kidding.
Oh, Cesar.
Go ahead, Adriana.
Let's just hope that this is like the closure of one successful, I guess, somewhat successful period with the national team. And let's look forward to the next 4 years. Hopefully it will be the same coach for the next 4 years. It will bring us the same kind of emotion. It will bring us probably a little more optimism regarding the national team. And let's see what the World Cup still has to bring us, because there's been lots of surprises. I thought we'd have a couple today as well. So I don't know. Let's wait and see.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Adriana. Thank you so much, Cesar. And we'll see you guys in the next Mexican Soccer Show. Liga MX starts in less than 2 weeks. Woo! Nobody's excited for that. All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. And go Russia. Yeah, Russia wins the World Cup. That way, when we're all good. All right, bye. Adiós. Hasta la próxima.